You're listening to the Rogers Sporting Goods Podcast with Patrick Fisher,
Chandler Smith,
and Josh from Outdoor Limits.
In this podcast, we'll touch on everything from gear to ducks to deer, turkey and fishing. From field to table, let's dive in. The places you will go.
Yeah. Anything funny happen on the fishing event?
Dr. Seuss. We did have our fishing event, which...
Anything interesting to talk? I mean,
everybody that
we
came
can recover
out, that was awesome.
Just trying to get a good story.
We had a fun time. And I was trying to...
Tell them about planning it and then having the rain and then having everything.
I do apologize if you showed up for any outdoor activities, and I should have... Well, the rain did finally come in, luckily, after lunch. But if you were expecting to do the long cast competition or some of the other stuff, the weather was going to be too unpredictable that day, and I wanted, if we were going to do it, to have everybody be able to take part
throughout
in it.
The day.
So I nixed it, but we had tons of giveaways. It was super cool. So obviously a lot of the companies, donated some prizes and giveaways and all sorts of stuff. And it was funny. I called this lady won the Lake Fork guided fishing day that Jacob Lang graciously donated to us. So I was able to draw 2 winners, and then we threw in a bunch, like they haven't come in yet, but they'll get outfitted with all the new Rogers fishing gear and stuff.
What were you saying about the lady? She was pumped?
And so when I called and she answered, and I'm calling from my cell phone, it's just easier. So we did a generated number, and then we would go to that number on the list and whoever. So I call, and it's a weird number. Hello? Hey, is this so-and-so? This is Patrick with Rogers Sporting Goods. Oh, hi. Yeah, just to let you know, you won our Lake Fork fishing trip giveaway and Rogers clothing, swag pack, all the new fishing gear. Wait, what? Hold on, let me put you on speaker. Okay. All right, can you repeat that again? Louder? She must have been, I don't know, she was waiting for a call. I was going to do it on Tuesday, but I had time to do it that evening. So apparently she wanted to let everybody know in the room that she had won. So, and then oddly enough, the next person that won, a gentleman that won, and I told him, and he goes, "Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. That's my favorite lake." And he goes fishing down there.
Oh, good.
On a quest for a double digit.
Has he got one yet?
Fish, no. I said,
I get it, man. Same boat here.
And I don't know if he follows along or he went and looked at Jacob's social media page. And I said, well, they did catch an 11.4 last week. He goes, I saw that. So he was pumped to
Jacob's able to find some double digits.
He gets on him.
Some share lunkers.
I called him yesterday. Hey, this is Jacob. And I said, yes, do you have any open fishing dates? I'd like to come down and go fishing. He's like, what? Like, I'm just kidding, this Patrick. And he was out on the boat answering the phone.
Yeah, of course.
He's been on him. He said is on right now down there.
It might be kind of hard to get a double digit at this moment because some double digits have lost some spawning weight and stuff.
Yeah.
So
he knows the spots. He definitely...
you think you catch an 11-pounder right now? It could have been a 13-pounder. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's a little bit of a stretch. It could have been a 13-pounder 2 months ago in February.
Yeah. Oh, I have to give a shout-out to, if you watched, is Mr. Profit's podcast out?
Yes,
it's out and running. So if you saw that, we were talking about all the new lures that came in, which we just got a whole nother batch of stuff.
That'll be the next podcast, is new lures version 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, it's a lot came in.
But give a shout out to him. So the first tournament in the Kansas City area he went to, he placed first.
Whoa.
With a 22-pound bag in about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, Thursday night.
So
He had a bag
maybe
that was like
2 hours.
Yeah, he had a bag that was like you fished all day to get, and he had it in like 2 hours on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
I wonder what.
Like,
I wonder what lure
rock solid. That's 4.5 pound average.
Did Blake give you
on
the secret?
Smithville?
Yeah,
I know what he throws.
Oh,
I'll tell you. It's no secret. He'll tell you too. It's a rage crawl.
yeah.
Like he likes Texas rigging. So anything Texas rigging, whether it's the like Rogers has the torture
Well, that's a
or
beaver.
the creature. Yeah, the beaver style, you
You-
know,
you
just
throw
like
the-
a crawl style bait
Well,
with
yeah.
but Texas rigging, something like that. Blake likes more of like the stem worm style.
Yeah,
Like a, you know, black blue swirl, Okeechobee crawl. Those colors around here typically work well for Smithville. But congrats to him. Now he's out he's fishing Kentucky Lake for the Toyota Series for the MLF. This
this is coming up.
starts tomorrow. The
Starts
first day.
tomorrow, but when the podcast is released, it's actually this past weekend. So,
Yeah.
so it could be interesting. We probably won't have the results. We could we could maybe plug in the results later
Yeah.
on the podcast, but I don't know. We'll have to look into that.
Yep. So we're excited about that. And then obviously turkey season's the huge thing right now, and
No, it opened up for us
so
3 days ago, whatever.
Yeah, and we haven't. And then youth was open before that. I know we haven't touched on. I did get some numbers for that, which I'll go over. Some, at least the youth stats are already out for the state of Missouri. But I know a few of us here at Rogers have been successful. A bunch of people getting out. I think Chandler was the first at the store or warehouse to actually tag a bird. His was out of state.
Yeah, we'll go into that.
You went down to Texas, so
Yeah.
since you shot the first and second bird
Yeah,
from the store, I'll let you lead off with kind of. I thought you were going down there to fish first of all,
yeah.
and then I get a picture of a turkey. I'm like, didn't catch that on a worm.
No. It was a buzzbait. No, I'm kidding. So I got to go down and hunt Rios for the first time ever. 2 or 3 weeks from when we were recording this podcast, and jeez,
Sorry.
I think a turkey just came off the roost.
That scared me.
but that was a cool experience. So I flew into West Texas. You know, this is not any type of turkey hunting I've ever been around, because I'm just so used to this Missouri, like super green grass that's getting high. It's just full of life in the woods, and you got people out on the lakes if you're around there. It's just you're crappie fishing and you're mushroom hunting and you're turkey hunting. All that. It's just a different. The ground's cool in the morning and everything's a little bit wet, dewy, that type of stuff. Hunting Easterns over here, and I go down to there, and it is like desert. It's like you're walking on, chunk rock and minimal. There was trees to roost in. I think, did we talk about that?
Yeah, I was asking about that.
You're asking me like, what do they roost in? Like telephone poles and
Roosting
wires?
in a bush.
Yeah, no,
Cactus.
There was mesquite trees out there for them to roost in, but it was just a cool area to turkey hunt. I landed on a Tuesday about 10:50, I think is when I landed. And then it took us, an hour and a half to get to, I think, the camp. And this kind of, I'll shout out, Mossy Oak was the group that I was going with. It's a Rio Roundup. And we've came out with, and you guys seen, and we've heard us talk about the new turkey hunting gear we have this year. And it's all, in Mossy Oak. It's in Bottomland and NWTF Obsession. So, and we had some really cool features. We had some, bug protection washed into it, so I didn't even spray permethrin on the clothing. I was out there and didn't have one tick, and other guys were talking about ticks, and just got to wear my Bottomland gear and went down there with the turkey vest and everything. And so Tuesday I arrived and got to the camp, kind of met everybody. I think we might have ate some lunch, and then me and Kelly Powers actually went out and set in the ground blind together.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with the Higdon strutter. Shout out to Kelly, and that was a pretty fun first day hunt. He had a We got some video of this too. I think Josh will be able to.
Does he use the Bo Brooks mouth call?
I think he does.
I don't know. He's probably got them all. I'm sure.
I know his. Okay. Do we still have any of these, Pat? The titanium pot calls from Power Calls.
I've got a few left. Yeah, I've got a couple left.
Kelly Power swears by that pot call. So if anybody wants to get their hands on one, we got a few left. I don't know if we have any online, but he might have a few in the store. Anyways, we got off on a tangent there.
That's all right.
So it was kind of cool. We were running a strutter decoy, and it was actually the motorized one. The what's that called?
The XS strutter.
Yeah, the XS Apex strutter or
True
XS
strutter.
True strutter. Yeah, so motorized with a Rio tail fan in there, and then I had a lay down hin sitting right next to it. Set up in a ground blind, 3 of us. I guess there was a lot of the guys there who were guiding or just hunting, not really guiding, but like they've already tagged out, so we just went and set. It was my first day there, so they're wanting to get me on a bird. I had 2 to shoot. I think technically you had more tags you could fill, but they were running a very tight-knit management program, so they had allocated a certain amount of birds for everybody. And we sat there. We got there probably about maybe 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock or something, and the goal was like, hey, we're gonna see them at 4 was the potential, but
so this is all day hunting in Texas.
Yep.
As opposed to 1 here.
We're in Missouri. We're over here getting out of the woods at 1. So
gotcha.
So this is morning, evening.
Okay.
And we'll get into that here in a second on the second bird, but shoot, it wasn't even an hour after we got set up. A whole group of jakes came in, and we got some good content there.
Yeah.
3 or 4 jakes came in, and they weren't super dominant, and they were scared of they were kind of scared of the motorized strutter, the XS True strutter, but they weren't scared enough to get away. They wanted to hang around, but they weren't super dominant. They wouldn't mess with the lay down hin. They wouldn't jump on the back of the strutter, but they would definitely go up to it and kind of, spur it kind of thing, kick it around. Got that good footage. And then they left, and we had a couple hens come flying by. One that was sitting right next to us on a fence post, which was kind of funny. And that was just overall great hunting. We just turkeys cruising in and out, and had the GoPro hooked up to the ground blind. And I was using I didn't bring my shotgun down. I was using a new gun that had a turkey scope on it, which is pretty cool. That was kind of new, but I guess it's plug and play now. Shooting some Apex, 12 gauge TSS. I think it was 8 and 9 combo. It was a Greenleaf 8 and 9. Great load. Now, I guess I'll get to the point. The first day, those 3 birds or 3 or 4 jakes went away, and then they came back and they brought a more dominant bird about 5 o'clock.
Okay.
So they come back in, more dominant birds with them. He's kind of in the back. And I don't know if that's the reason they came in, because they've been there. We've been watching them for 2-3 hours, just off in the woods a little bit, and they gobble and stuff when we call. But they're kind of done with us. But all of a sudden, they get hooked up with this other, more super Jake dominant, 1 year older bird.
Right.
And then they come running back in. It's about 5 o'clock, and that bird, you could tell, was bigger, more dominant. He jumped on the hen first, and then didn't like that the strutter was still there, and he jumped on top of the strutter and was just beating the fire out of that decoy, and I shot it right off the back of the decoy.
Them Jakes went back and got their older brother.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey,
you need to take care of some business.
You need to take care of this Tom out here.
They went and got some help.
Yeah, shot it right off the back of the decoy. But I was kind of worried about Kelly Powers had a real fan in the back of that decoy. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much I hated that fan, but he said that fan was destroyed because the turkey was on the back just tearing it up. Yeah. Just destroying everything. But
that makes sense.
Yeah. But
that was the first day you were there?
Yeah, first day. Like 4 or 5 hours into it. About 5 o'clock, shot one, and it's pretty cool.
Hey, my mind go.
Yeah. And then, how rocky it is out there, their spurs get really, really rounded. They're not very sharp. And I was hearing that if you're in more sandy areas, they get really, really sharp. and we were in more of a rocky environment, and the spurs were pretty rounded, and the beard wasn't very thick and full because I think the nutrition out there wasn't in as good.
Were they eating on more grasshoppers and crickets?
Something, I don't know exactly, but I feel like it's more that
Like
style.
insects
and bugs and stuff.
Hot,
Yeah,
pecking at fire ants or something.
maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you got a second bird.
Yeah. And I didn't feel like I had to shoot it on day 2, but day 2 I shot another one, and it was a great day. Great day.
Didn't feel like I had to take a second one.
Well, I just didn't want to rush it. I had a couple days to hunt, and they're
That's
like,
true.
"Come on, let's go. You're shooting number 2."
Never do that when you're
I know.
turkey hunting. Take the opportunity.
That's kind of why I shot
Yeah.
the first bird that first evening. I was like, man, I just gotta check one off the list, and then I can,
yeah.
because if I wait, try
And
to
you
get
have a chance at a
trophy or
Rio.
something, I shot,
Right. So
I had the Rio is on the decoys. He's dominant. He's old enough. Shoot it.
this
Check it off
happens
the
with
list.
a lot of. I jotted it down, and it happens a lot with turkey decoys, and you see it deer hunting too. But these turkeys that come in, these gobblers come in and attack another male decoy you put out.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like if you go shopping in a clothing store and you just start punching mannequins?
Yeah. I mean,
Like they, it is weird to think about, like, in their mind, what are they thinking?
yeah. I mean, they probably got.
Like, they obviously think it's real enough
Yeah.
to get in that close and then jump on it.
Yeah, but a real turkey would probably evade and try to jump on their back. So maybe they're not used to having something that
It's real funny too if the decoy kind of bobs, you see it kind of come back. Like, especially if they're pecking the front of the decoy.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen those videos. Well, then it kind of rocks back, but then it shoots back, like you're hitting one of them boxing dummies, and it comes back and hits them, and they're like, "Oh, fight's on!"
Yeah, it's cool. I haven't shot a turkey off the back of a decoy.
Oh,
before,
that's great.
So
That is awesome.
yeah,
Was the second bird on this? So the second day, take us through that. Was that morning or evening?
middle of the day. So I'll
Middle
get to
of the
that.
day.
So the second day was a different hunting style. First day was a ground blind, double bull, and then some Higdon decoys. And the second day was with Dave Nebraska. He's a call maker, makes some really cool stuff. And we were doing more run and gun style. I mean, this is putting my turkey vest to the test.
Yeah.
We're going out there, and it was a morning. If we have an hour laid out for this, maybe, because I'll try to get through this quickly. But
That's all right.
we went to our first spot and set up, and it was really neat. There was like heat thunderstorms in the air, which is really interesting. We don't get a lot of that here, but you could see out over West Texas. It was just hot. There's lightning, but you couldn't hear it's far enough. I don't think you could hear the lightning, but it's just weird, and it was just a weird morning. And then we're just sitting waiting to hear a gobble, and then he's I think he's looking at a clock or just waiting for that moment, and he starts to. I think he owl hoots a couple times, but the birds that we were trying to hunt had shifted a little bit off over a ridge, so we could hear him, but we could tell that we weren't on top of him, or we weren't very close to him, and and he waited a little bit longer and did some really, 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 really quiet hen calling and stuff. Nothing responding. So, we grouped back up, and I could hear him. I was like, there's a group over here, a group over there, but they're far away, kind of over a ridge. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of windy that morning and chilly. I think there was like just a front fighting through. It was like warm winds and cold winds and stuff in that area, which is, I think, why the lightning was going on or something. We set up, and we're just like, he felt like the bird's going to be working through this draw, and he's seen him there all the time. So he's just, let's stick it out. But nothing came through there. I'll just fast forward that. Mm-hmm. We were there for a little while, and then we got back in the truck. And as we were leaving, we were driving, I think, just to go turn around towards the end of this, farming road. We were we're inside the property, inside the gate. We're on a farm road. Check cattle because cattle was run on this. And we're driving just down to have a good place to turn around. Right as we find that, we see beautiful tom strutting out in the field that actually wasn't a field that we could hunt. And he looked like he was just about to come and hop the fence, but he had a bunch of hens, hooked up with them. So we pulled the truck over and we got out and went down the hill, and we were watching for a little bit. We called at them to see if they would come over, and they just wouldn't. So we spent maybe 30 minutes seeing if they'd come over to our side. And then we said, all right, forget that. They're just getting stuck on this fence row. Let's leave that alone. Let's go out to another place. So we get in the truck, drive to another place that he had access to hunt, and we found a group of birds as we were driving in. We let them cross right in front of us, right in front of the farm road. Like, well, darn it, we weren't at the spot we were wanting to hunt, but they were closed, so we went up to the spot we were wanting to hunt, hopefully, acting like nothing was, we were feeding cattle or something, nothing was going on. We were just driving by, and we went up to a spot that we thought that they would migrate, work their way to. They never did, as far as we know at that, they never got up there. We waited and waited and waited. They might have just hung out. It might have been a windy day. They might have hung out in the trees.
Yeah.
So then we get back in the truck, start heading back. I think we're heading back to go get lunch, but it was about 11 o'clock, which is a little early lunch, but we were just ready to get out of there. Mm-hmm. And then we spot another group of toms off the farm road. Again, drive by like nothing's going on, keep going down a little bit farther, hook behind a group of trees, get out. Now you're trying to run and gun through the trees and get around them. And we almost had this group of toms, and there's some good ones in there. And we just didn't realize how close we were to them. When we all of a sudden, it was like from me to the Hayden over there, we
Close.
just stepped on a rock and they all gobbled like right in front of us and just went berserk in all this.
Are
bushes.
you using a Reaper fan or something
Not
while
at
you're
this
running
time.
and gunning? Or you're just
he had, depending on,
calling with no decoys?
we had a hen on certain of those, couple of those sits we had a hen, but some of these were so fast that we were just setting up on calling and where the birds were going to work to. So we were just running and gunning. He was a great turkey caller. He could do anything he wanted on there, so we felt pretty confident. We didn't have to have a hen. So we got too close not realizing it, that they'd moved on us by the time we went past them and tried to set up on them. Yeah. And they were not far when they busted from us. And so then they worked their way up that way, and so we left and got back in the truck and drove up to another spot, and it was next to a barn, and so we pull past the barn, park kind of hidden. As we're walking past the barn, there's some turkeys we noticed in the woods actually. So we tried to set up, under a tree next to the barn and put the turkey decoy out and try to call. And right as we did that, the farmer's coming up to the barn, in his old cattle feed truck, and he's coming to get something out of it. So
now hop in the back of the feed truck.
It was no big deal. He's like, oh, I didn't know you guys were up here, and it was all good. And so we're like, all right, that's kind of lunchtime. So
apparently there's turkeys around every road they turn.
Yeah,
it sounds like it.
Yeah, I think
there's another group.
We encountered like 15 or plus and just like a few mile stretch into this property.
Yeah.
Like there was just probably just if you sat still, they would eventually migrate through.
At some point, something walking by you.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, so we head back to get lunch. No joke, ate a sandwich, sat for a second. And we
had a turkey burger.
Yeah. And we just looked at each other and we were like, they're out moving around. We saw more strutting on the way home. It's like, what are we doing sitting in camp? Like, let's just go back out. And we literally drive to the next spot. This is kind of funny. We parked the truck, and it's one of those rental trucks, new, and I don't think Dave has, maybe he does, but it's one of those key fob remotes, right? You don't actually plug it into the engine to start. It's all push to start. Well, for some reason, when we parked it there, I don't know how it works, but he had the key fob in the truck or whatever, and he shut the door and it honks once. Didn't hear it gobble, And I was like, oh man, it's kind of like, okay, everybody knows we're here now. And then I get out my turkey vest out of the back seat and shut my door, and then it honks twice. And I'm like, well, this is going to be, it's going to be a few hours before we see anything, right?
Oh my God.
And so we just climb up this hill. Did I get GoPro video just climbing up this last hill? Did you remember that, Josh?
I think so.
That was when the GoPro died on the second bird. Like I turned it on, I was like, all right, here we go. Get like some walking through this terrain and whatever.
Yeah.
And just about we get up to the top of the hill where we're going to set up under this nice shade tree. I'm standing there. He's kind of looking around, and he just goes a little bit 5-10 yards farther and looks around the bush, and he's like turns around. He's like, "There's 3 strutters, 3 strutters." And I was like, "Really?" We had a decoy with us, but we didn't have time to set it up. It was just sitting on the ground next to me, like on its side, and I just took a seat. Flipped down that pad on our turkey vest, took a seat right next to this tree, and and Dave's like, he became one with the tree. Like he was on his knees with the pot call, just like absorbed into the tree.
Yeah.
And he's over here working the pot call real quiet, because these things, I didn't realize it, but they were within 40 yards of what we were trying to set up.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if the wind was loud enough to where they didn't hear the car honk or the truck honk, or they didn't hear us walk up because it was so windy. But we pretty much almost walked up on them without even knowing they were there.
Yeah.
And then they didn't really respond at first, but maybe they were kind of trying to figure out what's going on. And then they finally heard them. And then they just started going off gobbling. And he looked at me, he's like, "Yep, here they come." And they did. They came up, all 3 right in a row facing me. Like, I don't think you couldn't fit another bird between them, and I don't know how, with them being all fully
Were they side by side?
All 3 in a row, side by side, no space between them. They were kind of even like pushed in on their feathers. They were so close. It was like they came in,
Synchronized turkey
like shield
dancing.
wall kind of thing. They just
Yeah.
they came right up to us, and then right where we wanted to shoot them at, they're all 3 there going nuts, gobbling, and Dave was I think he kept calling, but very, very, very lightly, and they were just going ballistic, and they were just going all over the place. And I remember I was using that 12 gauge with the turkey scope, and I just had 3 heads all in the scope for like a couple minutes, and I'm trying to figure out, now I'm like, who's the bigger bird, who's got the bigger beard, like, the fan looks great and all that stuff. And at the same time, they're all crisscrossing, and there's heads everywhere, and I'm like, geez. And Dave was wondering at the time, he didn't tell me till after. He's like, I wonder why he hasn't shot yet. And he's like, he figured it was because they were all like intertwined.
Yeah, you end up getting 3 of them.
Yeah. And well, finally they were just kind of confused that they didn't see any hens there, and they started to scoot off to the right, and that's when they separated enough to where I could shoot. But it was just a quick decision. I knew the one I was looking at. They started to split out. The first 2 were the ones I wasn't going to shoot. They split off right. And then the third one just kind of had that open space. And I kind of had to swing on him real quick because he started to walk right. And I was like, they're not getting out of here. With that show they just put on, they're not, the bird I'm going to shoot's not getting out of here. So I swung and shot, hit him, right under the neck. In the front, though.
Yeah.
I mean, no big deal. Down, done.
Crazy.
So 2 shells, 2 apex shells, 2 turkeys, two down. Had a blast. It was amazing. I have some GoPro footage from the first one, but the GoPro died on the second one. But I do have the picture we can put up on here.
Gotcha. That's super neat.
We can put up on the podcast, and Hayden will probably be posting some turkey pictures this week. If you just go to our Instagram, check them out. We have a couple other people who have shot some turkeys who are involved with Rogers.
Where'd you go? You said you tried Nebraska?
Yeah, I was up in Nebraska this past weekend.
Gotcha. What's the limit down there? You said it might have been more than 2, but anyway,
so they
it's
have
at least
West
2.
Texas Rios. I didn't dig into like a lot of how it works, but they also have East Texas tags, which I think are a different species.
Okay.
But West Texas, I have to see how many you're allowed, but I think it might have been 4.
Gotcha.
I could be wrong. Check with your local Game and Fish.
But yeah, it's always a good reminder.
Yeah, but
it's going to be at the bottom of everything we post. Yeah. Nebraska, did they switch to 1 this year for out of state?
Yep.
I believe.
Don't know.
At least
for sure.
Or maybe it starts next year.
I think they
but
did.
I know they're lowering.
They had a limit on out-of-state tags sold.
Yeah, there was a cap on tags, and then I think they dropped it from 3 to 2.
And was that a public spot you went to?
We were hunting a bunch of private stuff up in the hills.
It's like when it comes to waterfowl, you're Mr. Public.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a private spot though.
Yeah, we were chasing them all over Kingdom Come. Those hills were brutal, man.
Getting after it.
Oh yeah, dude. I felt like
what's the terrain there? Just hilly
short grass
and
prairie with cedars and hedgerows.
Oh,
yeah.
That sounds so fun.
A lot of people go to Nebraska though to shoot turkeys.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I got to see my first Merriams, so that was cool.
Okay.
They definitely have a lot wider tips on the tail feathers.
Yeah.
Like it's a noticeable difference.
I think it looks pretty cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we set up under the roost and had them fly down right in front of us about 80 yards, and they worked their way over, and it was like a group of like 20 birds. They were all strutting, gobbling.
So you always have footage of like, okay, so I saw like 15 birds in like a whole morning, and they're different groups. But you go up to Nebraska, and you had videos of last year of like 50.
Well, it was early still, so they haven't broken up quite yet.
He had
the whole flock.
He had a turkey army.
Yeah, like last year, it was a turkey army.
Like coming down the cornfield, like right to him, and it's
like 30 hens just walking towards the blind.
Single file, all in cadence,
Right.
Yeah.
Dang. But you had an opportunity at one, you said.
Yes, I did. I missed.
Is it one of those, it was so close?
No, it was like 35 yards.
Okay.
So it's a little further than I'm really comfortable shooting turkeys at.
Yeah.
But it was a situation where I've been watching them 35 yards in front of me for the past half hour.
Dead still or moving?
It was like 15 of them just in a wad going around these two trees.
Yeah, I could only imagine like trying to pick out one, and there's 15 of them.
Yeah.
And you're just like, when I had those 3, I was enough to like figure out what I'm doing, because I was like, there's turkeys everywhere. They're all on my scope. Like I got to wait till them separate. And then like finally they did it, and I just had to really quick and swing and shoot. And I didn't even get I didn't get my preferred shot placement. It was still a deadly shot, but I can see 15. Jeez.
I mean, so I was leaned up. There's a little creek, and we were on one side of it, and the birds landed on the other side. And so I'm leaned up against a brush pile, and I'm kind of at a weird sitting angle for where they were. And so I'm watching them work, and I'm trying to be as still as possible and not move. And I'm trying to get my gun shoulder. I'm like, it's not right. It's not right. It's not right. I can't really get my gun like in the pocket of my shoulder. And I'm just watching and waiting for an opportunity. They kind of started getting a little closer, but there's these 2 trees right in front of us on the other side of the creek. They would not come past it. That was the line that they would not cross, which was frustrating because my rule was like, all right, if they're inside these 2 trees, I'm going to shoot. It never really happened. They kind of started working over, but then they looked like they were kind of getting spooked. And real nice toms. There's quite a few really nice ones in there. And they're kind of acting like something's up. They're about to bug out. And so I finally get this opportunity where this one tom is standing next to this tree. Other birds are to the right. Other birds are to the left. Nothing's behind it. And so I pull the trigger. Boom! This is Chinese fire drill of turkeys. Had I have known that I'd missed, I would have shot another one right then and there because they flew towards us.
But you didn't know at the time.
I didn't know at the time if I knocked one or not.
Yeah.
Probably better off to make sure you know what's going on before you just start.
Yeah. It was a fun hunt though.
Walk out there and have 12 turkeys on the ground.
Yeah. It was 23 degrees that morning and like 30-mile-an-hour wind.
Wow.
It was so cold, and I'd been sitting there for so long.
This was last week?
Yeah, Sunday.
Okay.
I couldn't feel my hands. They went numb. And so I don't know if you guys have ever tried to pull the trigger when your finger's numb. It's not an easy task.
Yeah. Well, just tough to not have that sensation of being able to find the trigger pull correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, you talk about missing though, and whether people want to admit it or not, and a lot of people do miss at turkeys. It is one of life's greatest unsolved mysteries
So I have a little.
of putting that bead on a turkey,
Mm-hmm.
pull the trigger, miss. And
Well,
you're
all
like,
it takes is for them
how?
to just dip their head down real quick, or you flinch a little bit when you pull the trigger.
You only need one of those pellets, and it is amazing. I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get lucky enough, you get another shot, and a lot of times you don't, because they are running.
That was the difficult part about my situation was
Like a
it's
baby ostrich.
I could have shot another one, but with the lay of the terrain, there was this big old brush pile right next to where these turkeys were. So I had this thought that maybe if I hit it, but didn't hit it very hard, it would like run over by that brush pile and find cover or
Yeah.
do something like that. So like I did. It wasn't like we were in a bean field where you could just see everything, and you're like, okay, there's no bird like on the ground flopping.
Yeah, gotcha. It was chaos.
It was chaos. Like when I say a Chinese fire drill of turkeys,
Oh, yeah, they're just
20 turkeys. They all fly up and then they land and they're all running around.
yeah. That's wild.
Yeah. There will not
I have
be
a little
YouTube
story.
video.
I have a little story to add to that. And I won't mention names, but it was in Texas when I was down there. One of the guys was. There's more to the story we can go over later with. One of the guys I got to know real well in the industry. I think his first day there, he went out. They sat for a decent amount of time, but he shot a bird. And it looked like he might have hit not a great place on the bird, but the bird was still definitely wounded but out and alive. And I think it turned into chaos. And I don't know if anybody else has turkey stories like this, but we'd love to hear them. It went to, I think I shot it, I think it's down, to leave my gun and go try to retrieve it, to I don't have my gun and this turkey's taking off down the hill, to both guys, the guide and the guy hunting now had chased after it and they can't find it and they're like searching. And then the guide going up, I think, and I have to get, when the guy's in town here, we'll have to get him on the podcast so he can tell the story if we can convince him to tell a story.
Okay.
It gets better. The guide's going up to get the gun. They can't find it. The guy hunting finds the bird, and they play Ring Around the Rosie, one tree, probably about 20 times.
He's just trying to catch it?
Just trying to get a hold of it. And I've heard everything that he was throwing rocks at the turkey to kicking and anything he could do to get this turkey bagged, and it was just not that injured. And I think
It was just stunned.
it was chaos in a different way. And as the other guy's going back up to get the gun, or something like that happened. There ended up being another final shot and then a butt stock at the end to finish it out. And it was just like the whole ordeal. And it was the funniest. We'll have to save that one for another podcast and we get him on here.
Crazy.
That'd be pretty funny. But it was
We
a
had
pretty
that
funny
happen.
story. I can only imagine the ring around
We
ring around
didn't do
the
the
Rosie
ring
on the
around
tree.
the Rosie. Me and my dad, this is probably 4 years ago now, 3 years ago, maybe 4. And so I get a turkey. They come in, read the script right, blah, 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 shot it off the top of the decoy. And then his turkey come out like 5 minutes later from another direction. And he shoots out the blind. And, it's because turkeys, they flop around or they get a second wind, so you try to get out there as quick as you can. And we go out after it, and it jumps up, and we're not quite to yet, so he shoots again. And I still don't know to this day if he hit it the second time or the first time, but enough to where it wasn't totally running off. After that second shot, it like locked up with its head straight out, as straight as a 2x4, like he was jousting, and runs in a few circles and then charges my dad and runs into my dad as we're standing out in the middle of the open. He just, boom, hits my dad in the leg. I'm like, hey, get off me. And so we back up far enough to, we shot it again, and then it was done. But I'm like, what was that turkey? So I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, it's just weird how they, different things and the nerves and all that, and they just do weird stuff when they.
That's a blast, though, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've been trying to ask around the store, but the other person who got one was Sonia, who's our clothing manager.
Your wife.
My wife. And so we broke. It's been almost 7 years. She's been on a 7-year drought, and we go every year. The same farm, because there's no need to go anywhere else, you would think.
Mm-hmm.
There is turkeys there all the time. Just for whatever reason, over the past 7 years, they just don't cooperate. So even Derek went out with Sonya one year, like just trying to get her on one. But
yeah.
So her dad went as well, and so he lives up there and scouts out all the time. So we gave him first draw, and he chose to hunt what we call Turkey Corner, where we always see the turkeys. And then me and Sonya were like, we'll hunt the other side of the road, but he said it's probably not worth it. There's really nothing over there. So we hunted this little field. It's a cut corn field, but it's planted beans this year, and it's kind of surrounded by timber. Small field, but it's surrounded by timber all the way around, except for the entrances in from the road. And we know the turkeys, they roost up on top of this bluff up in the timber, and we're sitting in the field below. And of course, they start gobbling. Everybody's got different tactics, so we like hunting out in the open, turkey chairs, low profile chairs. And then
are you backed up against trees?
Sit
or
up,
in
not
the trees?
this one, no. So on this one, we couldn't quite get to the tree line, or else we would have. I'd have to do a lot of brush clearing and stuff. So on this one, we took our turkey chairs and backed up to some overgrown brush as our backdrop.
Okay.
So we were tucked in. Well, we weren't as tucked in as I thought we would be, as it started getting lighter. And I'm like, it looked a lot more dense in the dark. And now that we're sitting here,
oh man, that happens to decoy spreads all the time.
we are
duck
wide
blinds.
open.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Duck blinds and decoy spreads.
But with turkeys, they have great vision. But if you are dead calm and not moving, they really don't pick you out.
Is it dead calm and a lot of skin covered, or is it? Or
that too. So obviously you want to make face mask covered, head to toe, blah blah blah. But if you're super still, I've had turkeys walk 1 yard in front of me and don't know I'm there, and that's sitting on the ground. And so right at sunrise, at least for me, everybody's tactics are different. I don't really call. And we're going to go over some tips and tricks here, but I don't call until they start making sound. I don't do locators, but I'm also not running and gunning, so it's not as crucial like the spot I'm at.
Yeah.
So they start sounding off, and there's gobblers, and you could tell there were some jakes too. You can kind of pick out their immature gobble try. It definitely has a different sound. So they were going off all morning, and then finally one you could tell was up above us, and it's a pretty tall ridge line straight up this embankment across this creek. And he kept going back and forth. I couldn't see him, but his gobble would get faint and it would get closer. So I knew he was just walking this old logging trail up there back and forth. And I'm like, gosh, I can't get him to come down here. And I had a slate call, but I was using the box call right then. I usually use a box call because I can get it louder if I don't see any turkeys. So I'd go soft and then louder. I would vary my tones and do quick and stuff, and I'd wait and wait and wait until and let him gobble a few times, and then I'd call again. And about an hour goes by of this, and then I start dozing off, and I'm like, and it's like 7:10, and he gobbles again. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's still up there. So I give her just a few quick yelps, and either that did it or he had finally seen my decoys. I did a avian Avian X HDR Jake over a Avian X laydown hen.
Nice.
And then I had a flex tone feeder hen off to the side.
Yeah.
Maybe 6-7 yards away.
Did you ever kill anything over a funky chicken?
Yeah, Sonia's first turkey.
Nice. Okay, go back to your story.
Which aren't any wider than this mic.
No.
It's like, this is as big as their head, and that's their body.
Yep. They're
But
funky
a lot
looking
of people
turkey.
killed
turkeys.
and they look just like a Jake too when they're all real thin and
Like,
stretched up. They're so weird. They're not any wider than that.
Yeah.
Maybe that tall. And they have one of the best beards though, because it was like encased in like this rubber half balloon thing instead of just like a little band,
Yeah.
Because those bands get loose, and then the beard on these decoys just go.
Yep. Bad hair day.
Yeah. So as soon as I do that, I hear crashing, and I peek over my right shoulder up behind me, and I see him just beelining towards us.
Don't they make a ton of noise though sometimes?
Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. And he's crashing through the timber, and immediately I see his beard. I'm like, here he comes. I'm like, get your gun off safe, get it up, get it ready, because they get onto you so quick.
Yeah.
When they want to run at you, they're on top of you. And so I can hear it jump the creek, and he pops out on my right shoulder at 5 yards. I'm like, oh my God. And we're wide open, sitting on the ground. I'm like, don't move. And I was like, he puffed up right away, was spitting and drumming, and starts walking out, splits the feeder, and then kind of goes to the side of my Jake, and then starts messing with it. And he won't, he's so close, 15 yards, like I didn't want to move. And Sonia was already in a good position to fire when he let his feathers down, stick his neck out, and that's what I was waiting for. And I probably could have waited a little longer, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity, because if that turkey spooks and they go to run, it's so hard to shoot on a turkey that starts running. I mean, you got to be on it. And so he turns, clears my decoy, and faces us in full strut. And I'm like, your time's over, buddy. I say, go ahead and take it. And that's typically not the best shot. You'd rather them stick their head out. But she shoots, and it definitely hit it, but it was a little high. And so he didn't fall over right away. And I'm thinking, if he runs, so I'm fumbling to get on my knees to take a shot. She's like, I got another one. And so she shoots, and then that was the end of it. And it was
Awesome.
just elation of just a lot of years of near misses, or a coyote ruining our hunt one year, or just we have bald eagles that nest next to the turkeys, which is crazy. And so we had one of them flying over all morning, but sometimes that can hurt too. You get a mature bald eagle buzzing around, them turkeys become snacks, so they don't want to come out either. So it was a great morning, though. It was a morning like you would, right? You talk about reading the script. There was nothing, you call, they come right in, and it's, that's not always how it goes. But anyways, it was a great opening day, and now it's my turn. So
There you go.
we'll get back out Sunday. So all in all, good success all the way around, and we all got to see some, and so we'll get back after it this weekend. But
Brandon from the store shot one Monday as well.
Brandon and his dad doubled up with 410s.
Nice.
His dad had a 410, some sort of pistol 410.
Oh.
But it looks like something from the Pirates of the Caribbean. That's how, I mean, it looks.
Insert Pirates of the Caribbean meme right here.
Yes. It literally looked like one of those old just wood, like nothing to it, and it was under a 25-yard gun. That's all the farther he said it would shoot. But
Yeah.
they put out a couple, at least from what I could tell, a couple Higdon hen decoys.
Yep.
And they come right off the roost. He snapped me a picture at like 6:15. I mean, it wasn't 2 minutes after shooting time or whatever,
They had
and they
them
were
down.
done. They flew right off the tree, right down into their decoys, and
It's good. That's
done.
nice. You can get up on them without ruining that
Right.
roost.
yeah,
Sometimes you sneak up on them and they just know you're there and they will never come your way off
Yeah.
the
I've had that
roost.
happen a lot.
right.
You can be a silent and no headlamp. All try to figure out everything you can do, and then still
Yeah.
you just gotta sneak in from the right way.
Obviously, we had youth as well that started out. I did write it down. The numbers haven't come out for opening weekend yet. I think for the adult, I say the adult portion, but the regular spring turkey portion, they don't come out till the very end. But for a youth, and this is Missouri, a total of 1,234 turkeys were killed, 978 adult gobblers, 246 juvenile gobblers, and 10 bearded hens for the youth season. Osage County was the number one county with 39 birds total,
Where's that at?
and that is central Missouri. It's just southeast of Jeff City, maybe. I mean, part of it might still be in Jeff City, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I can see that. It just seems like
so
good
that-
old turkey woods down there. Different than up here, though.
Yeah, actually, more of the numbers, I think, came from the east side of the state, and then
South.
But if you probably think about population too, when you get like St. Louis area, Jeff City,
I'm saying more hunters.
probably,
Yeah.
yeah, just from population. Because you get northwest Missouri, it's pretty sparse.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there might be a lot of birds, but hunter wise, once you get past Columbia, and then straight north, and then west all the way to the Kansas and Nebraska line, there's not much northwest Missouri population.
Yeah.
St. Joe's your biggest town, and it's not huge.
Yeah.
So,
Kansas City.
Well, yeah.
yeah, and that's kind of west central. I don't know. I mean, it's technically northwest, but yeah, pretty good turkey season. So, real quick, just wanted to run over, and we've been hunting for years, and obviously there's rarities too. So everything we're going to talk about here, like people have different tips and tricks, and I do a different setup than somebody else, and Mr. Waddell, probably does something different than the Drury brothers. Those are two guys that love turkey hunting, but
Yeah.
and they probably have totally different setups. So, but like calling, we'll kind of start with that. One thing I learned early on, especially if you're new to this, is the overcalling is a big mistake.
Yeah.
So one thing you want to think about is when you're calling, because it's so exciting when that tom gobbles every time you yelp at him. But he's thinking you're coming to him then if you answer every single time. Because
Yep.
you're getting a reaction. So I used to do it. He'd gobble. I'd yelp.
Do it
He'd
again.
gobble. I'd
Do
yelp.
it again.
Well, if you do that, you need to play hard to get is basically what I'm getting at. So, not overcalling and playing hard to get is a big one when you're calling.
Yeah.
So that's a good tip.
I think adding on to that, Pat, volume too. Your
Yes.
volume of your call. I kind of got to see a little bit more of it this past hunt in Texas and hearing some other guys call at turkeys, and then I also got to see real live hens one evening do exactly what these guys were doing, and these hens would be cruising around by themselves, and they'd just be these really really small yelps. Very, very quiet.
Just be clucking every now and again.
Yeah,
and
exactly. And, we were sitting on the porch watching some walk by. It's kind of funny. There's that many turkeys around. You're sitting on a porch of a house, just watching them walk in the backyard, sort of. It's a big backyard. It's like a farm. But, it'd come by and it'd just be like making all these small noises and pecking around and just doing its thing. And all of a sudden, for some reason, this hen got excited and wanted to move a little bit farther away. Not from us, but just she didn't know we were there. We had enough obstruction in between us and her. She just was time for her to, hightail it out of there. She's not scared of anything. She was just moving because she was meeting up with some other birds. But all of a sudden, she went into this, what I would call like that classic box call yelp, loud.
Mm-hmm.
You just yelp, 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 yelp. And then she was just kind of moving around. And then after that, quiet.
Yeah.
And she just did that really out of nowhere. She just got really excited and she started moving around and started yelping real loud. And then she just quieted down.
Yeah, unless it's super windy, them turkeys will hear you're calling a long ways off.
Yes, surprisingly.
And it's better to start soft
Yep.
and work your way up. And then with that is to mix up your calling. So soft and louder, clucks, purrs, just give it, if you listen, like you were talking about, to a group of birds and they're all making different sounds. It's not just, a 3-4 yelp every single time.
Yeah.
So anyways, the calling stuff, you just get used to it.
Yeah, leave some breaths in there, leave some space for sure. And
Yeah.
I would, don't be surprised especially if you're hearing gobbles, don't be surprised to work a really, really quiet call because they can still hear you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, so I think keeping it soft to start, and there's times where you need to get loud, and mixing it up and not over calling. And if you're not seeing the turkeys, like for me, I knew, the toms might be over a ridge or whatever. If you don't see the turkeys, like move your calls around, or you'll see like guys with mouth calls, they'll cup their mouth or turn their head to give a different sound, like a hen's moving around. It's not just a stationary call.
yeah.
So anyways, that's kind of calling. The decoy setup and then setting up in general, everybody's got different ones. Like you talked about hunting in a blind. I do it very seldom. I'm more of an open guy. It used to be just against a tree.
Yeah, the second bird I shot was just turkey chair sitting next to a tree.
Right.
And I enjoyed it, but
Yeah.
I had to tell myself, just like you told Sonia, like I had to get the gun up, not even just in my hand. Like I had to get the gun up, rest. It was rest. I had my left elbow or left arm rested on my knee to help stabilize. And it was like that gun wasn't going to move just a little bit when I was going to need to shoot, because I didn't want to pick up the gun. I didn't want to move or swing or anything like that. I wanted it to be ready, pointed at the place I'm going to take my shot way before they were even in sight, because we knew they were coming.
Yeah, I wrote that down as be ready before the bird gets to you.
Yeah.
I mean, if you know, like, okay, there's a chance they're probably coming now, is just have that gun up, rested on your knee. You're nice and relaxed.
Yeah.
You're pointed at the direction you think.
Yeah.
As little of movement as possible.
Yep. I found the left knee and the kind of the elbow kind of thing. I didn't have to hold the gun up for a long period of time. It was just a nice rest, just sitting right there. Yeah.
For us, obviously, we were kind of tucked in brush, but not as great as what I thought. Especially with this ammo now, like if you're shooting TSS for sure, you and like a good choke, you can shoot so far that, I would always sit right on the edge of the field. But now, I mean, if you can, is get yourself back in there.
1 layer in.
5 yards, 1 layer in, and just give yourself that natural cover. You're still going to be able to shoot.
Yeah.
Plenty far. So, but however you want to do it. And then, like I use the low pro chairs now. Those are nice just because I don't need a tree to lean up against or whatever. So, there's all sorts of different ways. The one thing with turkeys, obviously we know they can see really well, but they don't see well in darkness and they have bad depth perception. So being still and being super camouflaged is going to help you out. So I'll flip my page over here. But we talked about decoys. So like at least from people that come to the store, the most common setup that I've seen lately, it's one that I use, is a half or a quarter strut jake, like a submissive style jake with the lay down head. I mean, it's different for different areas.
It's good around here when our turkey season is going.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you just really have a bunch of dominant birds that that you can put a strutter out.
Right.
And that you'll have dominant birds come in and beat up on the strutter.
Yeah.
Having that 3/4 strut or half strut, quarter strut, any of those, just puny little Jake.
Yeah.
Give more confidence to either a little bit more dominant Jake or a mature Tom to come in, and for around here at least, I feel like that's the scenario.
If you put out a big giant strutter.
Yeah. And that's if you're trophy hunting.
It can sometimes scare off a turkey that you might have shot.
Yeah.
But it didn't come in because.
Yeah, if you're trophy hunting, or if you're just wanting a big, you're wanting to shoot a big
old giant bird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mature
floor dragon beard and all that good stuff. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that laydown hen, or just hens in general.
And you don't have to worry about a steak on a laydown hen either. Less to worry about.
Oh,
Just throw it on the ground and you're good to go.
Which sometimes it's good to bring a backup steak, or else you'll be using a broken stick, or a cut corn stock. So, but there's tons late season. Sometimes it's better just to do a feeding hen. By the end of the season, you just do a feeding hen, and it's that maybe she hasn't been bred yet, or those toms have been worked over and beat up all season, and they don't have the energy to go out there and fight another Jake or a tom. So just putting a feeding hen out there. I don't like to use an upright hen just by itself because they're in a lookout position.
Yeah, upright goes well with a feeding.
Yeah, but if you're going to do more than one, that's kind of nice. Full struts do work. Just depend. I mean, I saw a lot of guys use a full strut, and obviously, certain instances, things work for. Be confident with the gear you're putting out there too, and have fun with it. So, in the timber, a lot they say not to use decoys. One, visibility, and two, you're just cold calling to them, and having them come to you. Where in a field they're visible. You got turkey decoys out there, and I'm talking about not open timber, but just that undergrowth, and they can't see it anyways.
Yeah.
So
some of the guys hunting as a pair, I don't know if you have this down on your list, but hunting as a pair, it kind of happened to me when I was there, but some other guys had some really good success hunting in the timber, and they weren't, you're hunting with your buddy. I know you kind of want to sit tree to tree and look at each other and make funny faces and stuff, but they had this. It's probably, I don't know if it was which came first, the elk or the turkey kind of scenario, but they had the collar behind the hunter,
right,
and he even had a fan just in case. But it was they found the birds, they started calling, they got set up, but the collar was 25 yards behind the hunter. And he had a fan. I don't think they needed to use it, but he was ready to
in
flash
case you
it.
needed some movement to draw them in. That
but
makes
the
sense.
hunter was completely concealed in a different location, and that could prevent some turkeys from getting hung up. But,
for sure.
If you can't get them to come in, if that collar, if you guys are hunting in pair, and obviously if one guy's kind of doing the calling, and then you do the shoot, and then you flip it up and change the script on him, and you do the calling, he does the shooting.
Yep.
One thing that we did this past weekend that worked was we had this property. There was a fence and a road and another fence. We couldn't hunt one side, but we could hunt the other. And there was a tom and a couple hens on the side that we couldn't hunt. And so we crossed the fence, and I set up in this scrawny little cedar tree that barely had any cover. And we're calling to him. Nothing really happens. And the guy I'm hunting with, he says, all right, we're going to try this. And he walks off back further away and starts calling, and boom.
Yeah.
It was like something flipped. I could see across the road these birds were strutting up and doing their thing, and then I look
because they're probably thinking,
one hen's getting
those
away.
hens are leaving now.
Yeah. Well, I look to my right, and I see 2 turkeys pop up 10 yards away from me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh boy,
there they are.
Here it comes.
Yeah.
Because I knew there was a tom on that side of the road. And so these hens come by, one dips down low, and then one comes about 7 yards right in front of me.
Yeah.
And it bugs off. No tom came through. But that's a neat little trick is like if you're hunting with somebody,
Yeah.
you're trying to get these birds to move a little bit, you act like you're a bird that's
Yep.
moving off.
Taking off.
Moving off in that area. Yeah, it makes sense. Another thing that I do that's really helped me, and which I don't use a vest as much anymore since I have the chair. So, sometimes I'll just do a little backpack or, I'll just use my pockets, right? A lot of these turkey pants.
You're saying you're not running and gunning as much.
Right. Is just having your calls and everything organized before that first light hits. So, I'll have, when I get there and it's still dark, I got my box call laid out, make sure it's chalked up. I've got my pot call ready and everything's laying out and I know exactly where it is with a couple strikers. I always have 2 strikers in case the one's not working right.
Mm-hmm.
That way you're not fumbling around and, especially if you have a vest, just make sure everything's organized and, it helps limit that movement.
Yeah.
And,
For sure.
because any little bit of movement, forget it. I've been busted so many times on turkey. So, and really to finish up, especially going in, to the last week and a half of turkey season, it's just some do's and don'ts, and a lot of them we know, but as a reminder to people and things to be safe. But so a few that I had down was do, and these are the do's, is obviously make sure you have your permit with you at all times. Like I know it sounds crazy, but you forget it, or in Missouri they have the app, so you can use.
Did you guys use the app Monday?
Uh-huh.
Yep. And you tell it.
Yep.
You checked it in on the app right then and there.
Just notched it and then telechecked it, and we're done.
All digitally.
Yep, all digitally.
Nice.
But again, like at the store, we still sell the paper copies, so you can come in if you want to do that. And if you do that, I'd probably put it in something waterproof and just, you know what I mean? It just saves you from having, even if technically you can have it, I believe you can check. But if you have a tag, a paper copy, not a digital one, but you forgot it, and you shoot a turkey thinking, well, I still have a tag, technically they could still give you a ticket. You have to have the tag with you. And sometimes they'll look it up too, but just have it with you. Another thing for like public, I know you use it a lot when you waterfowl hunt. I kind of hunt by a conservation area, but using Onyx or Google Maps, but just make sure you know where you're at. There's not always a fence, and then pretty soon you're cruising and you get lost, and so that's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Use that technology to your advantage. Make sure you're not, crossing over onto somebody's private land and you just ruined his hunt, and now everybody's mad at each other. Another thing to do, and this is private or public, is make sure you're visible walking out, especially when you're walking through that timber. A lot of the vests now have the orange tag, or maybe you got an orange blaze beanie you use for deer hunting in your backpack. You throw that on walking out, so when you're making, you're rustling through the trees, and no one mistakes you for something, and do identify what you're shooting at, and what's behind it. Same thing when you get a group of turkeys.
Yep.
Right? Okay, you're so focused on that one, is there 2 turkeys standing right behind it, and pretty soon you're in a pickle because you just shot a whole flock.
Yeah.
Now they're all flopping around.
When I was sitting there ready to shoot, I'm like, I'm looking, I'm going, all right, how's my spread gonna spread out here when I shoot?
Yeah,
100%.
And sometimes you just got to wait, and that's just the way it is.
So I had to wait on the second bird.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the first one too. I really had to wait to get get those other jakes out of the way.
Yep.
And get a clear shot.
Exactly. And then a few don'ts. Don't think you know the laws based off of previous seasons. Yeah. Things change, maybe they haven't changed in the last 10 years, but
check them.
I know the MDC, they have a meeting every year where they set the dates and maybe rule changes or whatever. So just double check it. each year before you head out. Don't not tell someone where you're at. If you're a guy that's going to go by yourself or a woman that's going to go by yourself,
that's a good.
just let someone know where you're at. Whether it's the farmer or the property you're on or a relative or something, in case you know what I mean, you get hurt or something, they know at least where you were supposed to be at. This is for me, and I'm sure some people have. This one's a don't for me, but don't use a creeper decoy on public land. I wouldn't suggest it.
Yeah.
Be creeping around with a fan you're hiding behind.
Yep.
And sneak up over a ridge and get shot on public land. So I wouldn't do that. Don't wear red, white, and blue. Those are the 3 colors you shouldn't wear while you're turkey hunting, because then you look like a turkey's head. So
Yeah.
you should cover that up. It's funny, I was watching an episode of Meat Eater, and when he took Rogan and Callahan or another guy, and he had a red, white, and blue scarf on.
Oh yeah.
And Ranella goes, I know you like that, but you're going to have to take that off.
Yeah.
That's a big no-no. And then don't let the excitement cloud your judgment. So we've talked about that. But any type of hunting, right? Mm-hmm. Flock of mallards are buzzing in, or deer running through the woods, and you're just like, there's a deer, and you start shooting, or turkeys or whatever. But that excitement will get to you. It clouds your judgment. You start getting tunnel vision. Safety goes out the window. You're not identifying what you're shooting at. You don't see what's behind it. So just stay calm. Take time. If you don't get one, you don't get one, but you're safe.
Yep.
So, you know what I mean? Jelly bean.
Yeah. So the last night I was in Texas, I couldn't turkey hunt, but we had to figure out something to do, right?
Yep.
So we went out and sat and looked out this, beautiful West Texas landscape, and we had about 4 feeders in our view. And what we were waiting on was a bunch of wild pigs to come through. So just sitting there, I don't think I was playing solitaire. It was in the evening, just kind of killing time. And finally one nice sow came up, just good looking wild hog for sure. She came out, was under a feeder. Got to, I think it was a 308. It had a 308 that Dave let me borrow, and
Dang.
I shot her right through the ears.
I've always wanted
That was
to do
it,
that.
huh?
Yeah, that was it.
What did they do?
Hmm?
Just get rid of it, or did
Well,
anybody?
this was last night, and there was a problem down there. We did get rid of it.
Yeah.
We didn't have the time to.
Yeah, I
do
mean, a
any
lot
type
of them too. They do.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
didn't have the
just-
time to do some type of preparation with it.
Yep.
But they did. The rancher gets paid for every tail that of a hog that you shoot down there, because they're that bad of a problem.
Oh yeah, they
I
just
think he gets paid like $40 a
they
tail.
tear
Huh.
up.
I think that was right.
farmland.
So it was not
It's
20. It was
so
I think it was
bad.
40.
So you didn't even have time to cut a backstrap out of it?
No.
Cut that tail off.
Yeah, you cut the
I
tail
want my
off and run.
$40.
It was like, it was that night, Dart getting picked up by the truck, and we were going to go home, and then the next morning we're flying out. So,
Yeah.
And it was, anyways.
That's exciting.
It was
I'd
kinda-
like to do that.
Oh, me too.
My buddy.
I mean,
just,
it wasn't supposed to be a hog hunt or anything like that. It was just like, hey, there's hogs here, and there's 4 feeders that they bounce around. If you don't have a turkey to shoot, why don't you go sit there?
My buddy went on a chopper one just a month or 2 ago,
Yeah. We were talking about all sorts of stories.
hanging out the
choppers
side
and
of the chopper. just
thermals
blah, blah,
and-
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're bad though. They
Yep.
really are bad. So, yeah, hopefully everybody had a successful turkey season or is going to have one, and
Makes me want to go out in the morning. I haven't gone out in Missouri yet.
make sure you tag us at Roger Sporting Goods so we can see. We love checking out hunting pictures.
Yeah, I mean, Hayden's got some pictures
like
to
it.
post this week on Instagram
Yeah.
and Facebook. Who shot a turkey in Tennessee this week?
Yeah, if you watch, like we had Winchester on here, but
James Winchester, the long
James-
snapper for the Chiefs.
Yeah, he stopped in the store. We got them all
Outfitted.
up. He was heading out there. I believe he took his son with him. But anyways, he was flying out to Tennessee and took one with him archery.
Oh, you
out
did
there,
shoot one with the
so
bow.
It was bow kill.
Nice.
Yep. Sent me a picture, and it was sweet.
There's some pictures running through. We
Yeah.
had some largemouth bass getting caught and some turkeys
Yeah.
getting shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trout.
Yeah. Get a lot of trout picks this time of year. Everybody's wearing Rogers waders and their Rogers hoodies, catching trout.
Yeah. Yeah. It's on. Morels are popping.
Oh, yep. Shh.
If you know a spot, let me know. If you don't like to eat them, but you like to pick them, I'll even take some from you.
I think that's very rare for somebody who likes to pick them
Yeah.
and not eat them.
Yeah. Very few. But if you're one of those people,
Yeah.
so, yep. Fishing, morels, turkey.
Yeah. So
It's
probably next podcast is more fishing. I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, we're about ready. I mean, we're really starting. The water's heating up, and
We might have to do a fishing
gonna be-
challenge tomorrow, Pat, when you're
gonna be
here.
popping off.
Fishing challenge
We
tomorrow.
might have to do
We
a
will
1 hour, 2 hour fishing challenge.
It's
Yep.
gonna rain.
What?
65% chance
during
of
the
rain.
day.
I don't know.
What's the hourly here?
Hourly. Let me look.
Come on,
Busby.
newbie.
Sorry,
On Gary Lezak.
I've got an ad. Darn
Didn't
ad.
both of those guys retire? Patrick?
I saw Busby,
Is he still
Oh.
going?
Brian Busby.
Looks like the rain's gonna quit at about 9:00.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
shoot!
Oh, yeah. By
Oh, they'll be ready to feed by the time I get
sunshine at 1:00.
okay. Oh,
63 sunshine. How windy?
out there. Shoot!
Josh,
I,
you bring your GoPros tomorrow?
I have
Yeah,
to
I
bring
can.
my poles.
16 to 26 mile an hour wind.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I think bring your
I'm gonna
poles.
cast real high into the air.
We're gonna have a challenge with beeline spinners and trophy hybrid bluegills, sunfish.
I'll bring my
The
fly
new,
rod.
the new Rogers. Are we talking about the new Rogers Lil Bees?
Little, yeah,
Or
yeah,
what do you-
no, yeah, the little bees, not the beelines. Beelines are under your feet. They're not
Oh.
even or somewhere.
You'll have to show
Oh,
me
yeah,
those when
those.
we get off. here.
Beelines are inline spinners. Beeline.
Hayden, bring your pole.
Hayden, you
Oh,
got
got
a fishing pole?
All right,
I
I'll
do
bring
not.
you a pole.
Actually, I might somewhere.
Oh,
I know where you can get one.
I
I got a pile of them.
I have a.
Roger Sporting Goods.
You want a 13 footer
out to the.
or 12 footer? 10 footer?
You don't have to cast. We'll get you one of
Josh
them
has
ones
got-
from the store.
Dude,
that
I
are-
got
Yeah,
a
the
13
Barbie ones.
footer.
I think we got some 18 footers at the store, so you just
Oh,
hold it out
nice.
there.
Not gonna lie, I think I saw like a Spider-Man one or something over there.
Yeah.
Oh, we do. We
No.
got.
That was the gig. We need to figure out if we have any of those here. It was. I'll
Barbie
bring
rods?
a couple, and then we'll have somebody's gonna have to draw the Spider-Man rod, and we have to see who catches the
As long
most.
as we spool it up with spider wire.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
All right. I'm in.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right, we're going fishing.
Hayden's gonna be out there filming, and we're gonna do just a little social media challenge for like an hour or so.
Social media challenge with some Rogers baits.
Yeah, we're gonna highlight the new. I mean, it's like one of the best baits to have when you go to any farm pond anywhere, and we're at a place that has some trophy hybrids in it. Some
We'll do it.
fish,
We'll do it.
like the size of a dinner plate,
I might have to bring
like
my stringer.
same shape too. It's like
I'll bring my cooler
Just a circle.
yeah.
of a fish fry.
I'm having
Yeah.
a turkey fry tonight.
Ooh, I know you told me about that.
Turkey fry, a little fried pickles, some mac and cheese
Man, that's how you do it.
from field to table.
I got a rock.
You got a rock? I'm gonna just fry my turkey.
I'm on. It's on.
I need to figure out how I'm gonna prepare it. I should
I'll
do
make sandhill crane.
it. Oh yeah.
Hey, bring some in.
Yeah, I
Never
still
had
got-
it.
Hey,
still
it's
got a
getting nice
couple.
enough now. We need to have some like.
Yeah, we got
Hey,
to
do I
do
got
a
do
cookout.
some of
I
our.
still got those duck brats in the.
I haven't
in the
touched
freezer.
them. If you haven't
Duck
touched them,
and
they're
goose
still in the
brats.
freezer.
If
Yeah,
we
let's
got
probably put
here,
them in
if
the
we got
fridge
here
and let 'em-
early enough, we need a smoker for the warehouse. We could throw something on the smoker like 8 in the morning and be ready to go by the time lunch rolled around.
I think I know somebody.
I think I know somebody too.
I know where one's at, still in the box.
Where?
I'll tell you after the podcast. With that being said, we're gonna go snack.
I'm hungry now. And
If you guys
yeah.
enjoyed this episode,
Yeah.
make sure to leave us a rating, subscribe, follow us on social media, and we will catch
Send
you
us
guys
your pics.
yeah,
next time.
the video of this podcast is on YouTube. RogerSportingGoods.com.
See y'all later.
Out.